welcome to the number one podcast. I am your host, Coach Jake. Today, I want to talk about some interesting stuff with regards to business, get you up to date on some great things that have been happening over here. Let's get started, man. What are you guys doing? Let me get the chat going here. I'd love to get a roll call where you guys calling in from. Give me 2 seconds here to the chat. Yeah, man, let's see what happens if I overlay that. Yeah, there we go. Uncensored. Ask me anything. Hope you guys are doing great today. All kinds. I wanted to talk about technology. I want to talk about government. I want to talk about America, right? So really the title here is AI, right? Technology, tariffs, government, and the rise of the heartland of America, right? Strategies for those of us that are entrepreneurs right now or thinking about being an entrepreneur. Always a great thing to do. I think it's a bigger risk not to take a risk. All you guys that don't realize this, man, you're putting yourself at massive, massive risk. Here, I'm going to take this off till we get some people in the chat. I just think that you guys are putting yourself at risk if all you got is a day job, right? We've got to start thinking about this. You got to think about it mathematically. I'm a data guy. I like numbers. I think that it's important for us to understand how numbers work. If I'm an entrepreneur and let's say I have 100 customers, I have 100 bosses. That might sound awful until one of them fires me. I still got 99. You that has a job, you got one boss and you got to kiss their ass. And if it don't work out, boom, guess what? You go find somebody else to ass to kiss. Whereas, maybe I got 100 people, maybe that's 100 asses to kiss. That's just called customer service, right? That's called, I would like to have you renew your service contract with me. Anyway, I had a great talk about technology, AI, tariffs, and the impact on American entrepreneurs, the heartland of America here. Yesterday, we had a great day. I was, full schedule as normal, white space, no white space on the calendar, as Greg Cardone says. I was seeing clients in my capacity as the performance coach of the year, number one, right? If I'm going to call my company number one, I got to show you how it's done so I can coach you. Here's my little award. Did I show you that? Let's see if you can see that. You see that? See that? Performance coach of the year. I don't know, can you see that? Anyway, super excited. So they're keeping me booked, man. I'm slammed. If you guys are interested, if I can help you, by the way, go to number one coaching. It's right there. Oops. numberonecoaching.com and just book an appointment, man. I'll talk to anybody for 15 minutes, see if it's a good fit. But my schedule is getting crazy packed. I think we sold 400 clients at GrowthCon, where I was up on stage being the number one guy. So get in now, especially get in now before the price is raised. Anyway, so I was booked yesterday, man, from 7 a.m. clients all day, except 1 hour, 7 a.m. to 4, 7 a.m. to 3. I had to reschedule for today, actually, with that client. But that 1 hour off, it wasn't lunchtime. I've been coaching my wife's company, Gatemaster Technology. You can go to gatemaster.com. It's a software company it's the oldest software company in the space of servicing amusement parks and family entertainment, water parks, things of that nature, right? Like does ticketing, point of sale, some marketing. It does a lot of marketing functions, does season passes, things of that nature. Well, I've been coaching her, trying to help her with her marketing and the revenue strategy. And one of the things that she came up with, brilliant, and was a smashing success, she called it the GT Summit. GT for Gatemaster Technology, Summit for a gathering of a bunch of people. And it was a hybrid event. We had, I think, probably about 25 people that paid to attend, got planes, got themselves a hotel. Hey, what's up, Bilal? Happy to see you, brother. Thank you for the hello. But anyway, went off without a hitch. It was amazing. Had all kinds of great high-level professionals presenting, great high-level professionals in the audience, both on the live stream and as well as in person. But I had to speak. And the feedback I got, I mean, I don't know, maybe people are biased, but I got a lot of really great feedback on my talk. But this is something that I wanted to bring up was the impact of AI. It's like everybody's talking about AI and what is the impact, and now it's going beyond just helping write things for you or to help kids cheat on their tests. It's going way beyond that. AI now is really moving to a place where people are getting freaked out. They're getting freaked out about having their jobs replaced, and I think that's overblown. It's not the first time we've seen like technological innovation has impacted jobs. Let me just put it this way: when light bulbs were invented, did it put people out of jobs for, I don't know, let's say candles, right? Did when somebody made a wristwatch, right? Did it put people who make sundials out of business? Well, it did, and there's a great economist, an Austrian, and I wouldn't say I would call him in the Austrian tradition of economics. I think he was actually technically Austrian, Joseph Schumpeter, and he had this idea of creative destruction, and that's actually the purpose of the economy is to innovate and create new things, right? Bilal says the horse lost a job when the car came around. Exactly, dude. Um, did it lose its job? Yeah, maybe. Maybe that was for the better. Maybe these horses now can be race horses. Maybe they're pasture horses. Maybe they're pets and they live a better life than pulling heavy loads and the dangers and whatnot. I'm just saying, like, I would like you guys to maybe stop saying artificial intelligence. I know that'll never happen, but at least in your head, so you start thinking about it the right way. Start thinking of it as augmented intelligence. That it's like like a performance enhancing drug, for lack of a better term, or like Archimedes' lever, right? So did leverage, the discovery of leverage, which is massively important, right? Archimedes, give me a lever long enough, I can move the world. A lever is an important piece of technology that people didn't always have, right? When we were cave people or whatever there was, people didn't know about that concept. And so as such, did it put strong men out of business? Maybe, or maybe those strong men could move more. And so same with AI. Maybe it's a productivity tool. Maybe it's augmented intelligence instead of artificial intelligence when you're talking about it in your head. So you start thinking about it correctly. Now, when the new technology of light bulbs came around, did it impact candle makers or lamp makers or whale oil? Remember, whale oil was a big thing, blubber, because that's what people used to burn in lamps prior to the incandescent light bulb. Well, it destroyed the old jobs, but it created new jobs, right? So this is the thing, jobs won't ever go away. And this is why those people that talk about a, what do they call that? That social insurance, it's the income, the guaranteed income program. What is that called? Somebody out in, I'm having a brain fart. I've written about it. I just can't remember the name of it for some reason. But guaranteed, God, what is that called? But basically, it's like social insurance, and you just get $2,000 a month from the government. Well, where the hell is that going to come from? And this is where I want to talk about tariffs, right? So, do you see how AI and government are actually intertwined? And so, Elon Musk, he's a smart guy, but I think he's a smart businessman. I don't know how. I think he's good at solving problems. Okay, so I mean, I'm a fan. I like what he's doing with Doge, but sometimes I don't like his things. Like he was one of the biggest pro-vaccine people early on, and that clearly turned out wrong. Turned out to be one of the biggest crimes against humanity ever perpetrated, and he was wrong. Trump was wrong, right? So I'm not saying, but I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not doing an ad hominem attack here. I'm saying that argument was clearly wrong, and universal minimum income, or what is it? What do they call it? UBI, universal basic income. Thank you for the patience. So one of the things Elon's like, well, I can't do an impression of him, but we're going to have a UBI, universal basic income, because all jobs are going to be replaced by AI. That's not true. It's not true, in my opinion. I don't think all jobs are. I think just like the candle maker went out and we have now people doing stuff with incandescent light bulbs. Well, guess what? Now the heavy lifting is being done with reasoning. Now, we don't ever want to lose our ability to reason, because that's a very important tool for us, and we don't want it to go dull because we're not using it or we're not sharpening it. But it doesn't hurt to have more tools or a chainsaw. And I'd rather have a chainsaw augmented cutting than a butter knife to start working on a tree or a forest, right? So my point here is, where I feel like this is happening and it's important, but it's important that we start being creative and not just outsource our thought, not just to AI, but to other people like Trump or Musk. And they're smart guys. I'm not dogging them. I'm just saying maybe there's other ways we need to other things we need to throw out into the universe to be contemplated, because maybe there are ramifications that affect our liberty or affect our economy or affect our, health. So I've written about UBI quite a bit. And what I like is, so right now, the idea of a UBI, government is largely funded through taxation, right? And the issuance of debt. And that actual taxation, you can look this up, is how we pay down the national debt. And there's going to become a problem when the amount taxed cannot cover the amount of interest. We're at like $36 trillion. It's impossible for your brain to grasp the size of that debt quantitatively. It's just, you need exponents to start grasping how big these numbers are, right? A million is 1,000,000. A billion is 1,000 million. A trillion is 1,000 billion. Do you see how this is massive? So even as prosperous as we are, the American dream, entrepreneurship, growth, selling, creativity, the things that are kind of the hallmark of the American dream and the American economy, which drives the world, even it has its limits, dude, right? Like we're going to run into a problem where the income tax is not going to be sufficient. Now, Trump is like, oh, let's do tariffs. Let's do an external tax, an external revenue service rather than an internal revenue service. Sweet. I love the idea of getting rid of an internal revenue service, because fundamentally, the income tax, Robert Nozick, the esteemed philosopher, okay, this guy's a heavyweight. This guy isn't some, I'm not knocking Ayn Rand. She's another brilliant person, but wasn't at the caliber of somebody Robert Nozick. Robert Nozick, genius, dude. The Tale of the Slave. You can go find it on YouTube, right? The Tale of the Slave talks about how the income tax is fundamentally not different than slavery. It's still forced labor for somebody else, just because it's called the state. You call it the plantation or the state or the master or the government or what, it's all the same functional thing. And just because, so let's say I'm taxed 40% of my labor through sales tax, income tax, property tax, all the different taxes, excise tax, VAT, all those different taxes. Let's just say it's more than 40%. Well, let's say though that it's 40%. That's 40% slavery. Did slaves work 100% of the time? I mean, did they have anything for themselves? So you need to look at how this actually works. Nozick does it better than anybody else. I don't want to take all the time explaining it. My point is that having an income tax fund a UBI is like drinking your own piss. It's like eating your own turds. It's stupid. It's like a dumb loop where it's just gets degenerated and ruined. It's not nutritious. It's not sustainable. It's stupid. Just think about it for a minute, okay? I'm not going to hold your hand on that. But the thing that you need to understand is that an excise tax, anytime you tax something, is a disincentive. So an internal income tax is a disincentive to work. So how many entrepreneurs do I see And they're like, oh yeah, I started my business, blah, blah, blah. And oh yeah, and I write everything off. And I'm like, you got to stop doing that. They're like, what? I don't want to go on payroll. I don't want to pay payroll tax. I'm like, I understand. Do you see how they have a disincentive to go on payroll tax? But if you don't go on payroll tax, then you can't collect, you can't get insurance from an insurance company in the same way with the same benefits, like with a PEO, a professional employment organization. I think that's what that stands for. Is this registering on any of you guys? This stuff is complicated enough that some people don't get into it, but it's not that complicated that you can't understand it. I'm trying to just get you up to speed here. So an income tax is stupid, frankly. It's stupid. Can we agree on that? Nobody likes it. It doesn't really work. We see waste. We're spending more than we can bring in. It's going to break the system. America's going to be bankrupt here very shortly, right? Functionally bankrupt, where the tax payments that pay the interest on the national debt are not going to be enough to cover the debt service. Bankrupt. And then we're going to have to default, which I'm in favor of, by the way. But that's a whole other discussion. Strategic repudiation. You can look up my blog posts on that subject. But where I'm going with this is that, okay, so we get rid of the income tax. How do we fund the UBI? Oh, Trump, I'm going to do an excise tax. Okay, cool. I understand the reciprocity that he's going after. Okay, so China has import taxes against the U.S., but we don't have likewise. There's a good, strong case there. Like, yeah, kind of F you, China. That's a dick move. And you're just benefiting from us. I get that, and I like it as a strategic thing. But fundamentally, tariffs are a disincentive for us to trade with people internationally. Okay? Oh, well, big deal. No, that's a big deal. Okay? The reason is there's fundamentally two ways for people to interact. Through trading or through violence and stealing and pillaging and killing. And you understand? So a lot of times things like tariffs and sanctions, this is not controversial what I'm about to say, are precursors to war with other people. Okay? And it's a disincentive anyway. So even if we don't go to war and have the expense of war doesn't make you money. Okay? I know that's counter. It makes money for some people, for the defense contractors or for the Congress people that make the laws like Nancy Pelosi and their insider trading. That's what it is. Whether it's legal or not is not up for debate. It's legal, but it's insider trading, and private people can't do the same thing or they go to prison. Martha Stewart, for example. Okay? So if Martha Stewart went to prison, I can't see why Nancy Pelosi shouldn't be facing a similar thing. I mean, that's the definition of tyranny. I think this is Jefferson said that you can measure tyranny by that which the citizen is punished, but the state is not. Okay? So if I'm punished for murder, the state should be punished for murder. Or not just the state, because that makes it abstract. The people making the decisions, like Fauci or Bush or Obama or these people, right? Anyway, so if fundamentally funding, if AI is going to replace all jobs, and that AI, we're going to need to subsist. I'm taking this premise that Musk is saying, and we're going to need a universal basic income. People are just going to need a check from the government for $5,000 a month to live. You can't fund that from tax because tax comes from the people's income. So that's a tautology. That's it's stupid. Okay. So where's it going to come from? Oh, tariffs. Well, if tariffs are a disincentive to trade, those taxes will diminish because people will try to avoid them. So where could it come from? This is actually where I really love the ideas of Thomas Paine, the original founding father. The original founding father. And Alaska already does something like that. And Bilal, I see you there, brother. Hi. The horse lost its job. Yeah, jobs. Jobs evolve. We used to carve stone and write then ink and paper. And then, yeah, dude, like, right, exactly. Did the computer put people out of phones, out of jobs on phones or in smoke signals or what? Yeah, I mean, but they adapt, right? Thank you, Bilal. That's a great point. So anyway, my point here is that an income tax ain't going to fund a UBI. A A tariff is not going to fund the UBI. A UBI may not even be necessary. Just let us adapt. Don't sucker us with this bullshit and make us all ghettoized in the way LBJ did to the African American community with the advent of welfare. Where this is not even controversial. Welfare is a trap. We can look at the numbers. I mean, LBJ was a racist, a Democrat, the party of slavery, locked in a bunch of African Americans and other people, and now it's become more about social status or whatever. But anyway, my point is, don't just accept that premise that AI is going to require a UBI. However, let's take a two-pronged approach here. Before I completely refute this point that a UBI is maybe not necessary, let's talk about how you could fund it. So in Alaska, they've already got this going. It's called, I think it's called the Citizens Dividend or something. You can look this up. But basically what they do is, if I live in Alaska and somebody takes oil out of Alaska, if they take timber out of Alaska, say I sell it to Russia or I sell it to a company, they built into the cost is this UBI, is this dividend to the people of the land that they're taking it from, the state. Now, what I like about this is I'm not an anarchist. Okay, there's a lot of libertarians that haven't thought that through properly either. They've thought more than your average person, but they're still taking the thought process of these people like Murray Rothbard and just continuing down that road instead of looking at the fundamental premises and finding flaws there and figuring out why anarchism doesn't make sense in some ways. Okay. Anyway, the only tax that's efficient, they've proven this, is a land-based tax. Okay. It's like a property tax, but it's a land tax. Okay. They've proven that this is the only efficient form of taxation. And effectively, this is what the citizens' dividend and what Thomas Paine suggested. So if the resources of a nation are sold within or without, that is taxed. And that is used to potentially fund a UBI, oil, electricity. Let's say we could start taxing AI. What if we started taxing the AI for use and then task the AI with being more efficient? And do you understand? So there's ways out of this. But that's assuming that the UBI is necessary. I don't think it's necessary. So anyway, I don't want to beat a dead horse here. But I do want us to maybe not just accept the talking points, even if it's just from our own team. Maybe there's a better plan. Okay? So anyway, how does all of this impact you today as an entrepreneur? Okay? So first of all, let's talk about AI. You need to get on it. You need to get on AI now. So do you want to be the last guy to learn how to drive a car and benefit from the benefits of getting places faster and carrying stuff easier? Or do you want to be the last guy? Who do you think is going to get ahead first? The guy who starts first. Start figuring out how to use AI to augment what you're currently doing. Duh. Okay? It is amazing. I focus a lot on sales and marketing, but I also focus on scaling and things, these other parts of the business that are important. AI is completely applicable in a lot of these places. You can develop apps and sell them to other people, right? What do they say? Like during the gold rush, the money was not in gold, it was in selling shovels. You could be that person, but you could also, you could use it yourself in what you do sell. So if you noticed, like, obviously I help people with business coaching, but I have my own businesses. My wife and I have the software company. I have the wrestling company, Creating the Maze. Have you noticed how I'm leveraging AI to help me get that to market better? You can go check out the socials, for example. Check out this social. I maintain engagement by providing quality content, and I do that, a lot of it with AI. Now, of course, I want to engage with you authentically and in person. I know that Gen Z and millennials are having this big pushback moment with AI. Oh, it's not authentic. It's fake. Oh, destroy it. Oh, the artists. Blah, blah, blah. I get it, and I hear you, but you need to do both. Nobody's saying go all the way AI. We're saying let's use it to make our lives better. I guarantee you, 3 to 5 years, our world's going to be so different. And Elon is leading the charge here with the integration of AI and robotics. And I know you don't think of a Tesla as a robot, but it's a robot that when it's in self-driving mode. Okay. But these humanoid robots are coming. People are, trust me on this. Mark my words. I've been ahead of everything, dude. Anomaly. And you can go to mentalselfdefense.com where I put that whole book up for free. You can find the chapter where I talked about medical fascism. And below, I'll get to you why anarchy doesn't make sense. I wrote that in 2009 and talked about how the medical system is iatrogenic, meaning does the opposite of do no harm. It actually causes harm intentionally. And it's part of the larger eugenic program held by the beliefs held by people that are in control of these kind of things. And I lay out the facts. This now I think has proven itself to be true 16 years later. I was the first to write how the Tea Party was co-opted and turned and integrated back into the establishment. I had a whole book. Established, got lots of praise for that. Okay, what else did I predict? I predicted the end of the United States as we know it, give or take 5 years by this year, 2025. Largely because I was looking at general accounting office numbers, things that we're now talking about. I created the Mace Belt. I saw that. I'm good at seeing these things and taking gambles. There's a lot of shit that I'm wrong on. Okay, but I'm better than most at being right on a lot of this stuff. So, get ahead of the AI thing. I'm not saying get rid of it, but dude, it's like, oh, candles are better than incandescent. Well, okay, maybe. I mean, a lot of places burned down when we were making the transition from candles to electricity. But I guarantee you, a lot of people burn their houses down with candles too. Remember those Christmas trees and they put little candles? Ooh, that's stupid. Okay, so anyway, why is anarchy bad? I want to get to this real quick because it never actually exists. And this is hard for people to grasp because they understand the concept of no government, but they create this term government and forget that government is just people. It's actually people. It's just a term we use to designate a group of people. Okay. And these are people that subsist off taxation and have somehow gotten the monopoly on the use of violence and the initiation of force, maybe under the pretense of, hey, we're a defense, but they use it offensively. You know what I mean? It's like slippery language that's used. Does that make sense? So either, okay, so we could think of it this way. Either anarchy can never exist or exists everywhere and always. Because what is anarchy? The idea of anarchy is that there's no laws, okay, that are enforced with violence. If I'm a communist and my belief system is communist and I don't believe in private property, then you could take my shit and I'm not, it depends how deeply I believe in communism. You'd steal my hat. I'm like, oh, it's yours, brother. It belongs to the community, the collective. Stupid. Okay. And it doesn't matter on scale. It could be a building. Oh, it belongs to the people. And well, fuck, I'm going to use it then. No, stop me. Violence. That is where the government is gone. But let's think about this. Okay. Anarchy exists on the flip side. It could never exist, but it could also always exist. And it exists between nations. That's why they go to war. Right? There isn't a one world government yet. Hopefully never. So this is the challenge. And this is, I think, what like these thinkers, remember the founding fathers were like in their early 20s. These guys, I'm just going to be real, were very smart. and very action oriented. A lot of testosterone, really smart, been thinking about things, about unfairness. Remember, it was taxation without representation. It was basically a tariff that started America. So this is why it's weird that Trump's talking tariffs. It's actually, remember, you know the story of the Boston Tea Party? The British East India Company? We were a colony. We weren't America. We were under the rule of King George. King George wanted to give preferential treatment to his friends, his company, the British East India Company. It was the days of mercantilism, which is very close to fascism, which is this union of government and corporations. Okay. And he said, listen, I'm going to favor the British East India Company over the local colonial tax importers by putting a tax on their tea. They got pissed. They dressed as natives. They disguised themselves and went to the British East India Company, dumped their tea in the harbor. The rest is America history. Makes sense? So this tariff thing is just not well thought out of, and the thing is like, it's cool. I can understand the reciprocity, but tariffs generally are a bad idea. Generally speaking. There can be moments in time, like maybe this idea to rebalance the world is a good idea because these people are putting tariffs on us. I don't mind the reciprocity, but it is not sustainable in my opinion. And I hope that answers your question, Paul, about anarchy. So we do have anarchy at the government level. The governments are all free and make up their own rules. And in some ways, our neighborhoods, like I have rules for my house, right? And the neighbor has different rules. So the founders, the way they got around this was this idea that sometimes is termed minarchy, which is a minimal government. So in the case of the founders, a government that would only provide an army, police, and courts. And try to give back. Now, my problem, I think, that they didn't realize, because it had never really been done before America, it's a great experiment, was that democracy is shitty. It's a crap way to find good leaders. It's a crap way to make decisions. And we've learned that. So, you can think about popularity contests. Like, I wouldn't want the prom queen and king in charge of my education because they were the most popular. Is that how we should determine the people who write the laws that constrain us and tell us what to do and what we can't do? I don't think so. In fact, I largely find that most people believe that the best person to govern is the person that doesn't want to govern. But how do you get them, right? Because we've also found like a psychopath, as it's technically described, is somebody who lacks empathy, generally speaking. I mean, I'm quoting off the cuff, but it's somebody who lacks empathy. It doesn't necessarily mean a murderer, it could be, but somebody who has no empathy, no sympathy, has no problem kind of stabbing you back to climb the ladder of success. And this is why in the general population, they've found that 1 out of 100 people are a sociopath or a psychopath. But in populations like CEOs and politicians, it's 1 out of 4. So it goes from 1% to 25%, depending on who you measure. Because they're drawn to power. They're drawn to control. They're more selfish. They're like, how can I use this system to benefit me? That's why they're drawn to these populations, right? So how did the founders, and remember there was federalists and anti-federalists. Do you even know the difference? I'm more of a fan of the anti-federalists. Because of the anti-federalists, we actually have the Bill of Rights. Can you imagine not having freedom of speech? Can you imagine not having the Second Amendment, the right to self-defense? Can you imagine not having the Fourth Amendment, right to privacy? Can you imagine, and this is the one that I really want you to focus on for this, because the anti-federalists, I think, were ahead intellectually. A trial by jury of your peers. It used to be, you did something, you had to go before a judge, and man, that guy could just, you don't know if he's on the dole, if he's been bribed. That still happens, by the way. But at least I have a jury of my peers, people randomly selected, and this is the key, to free me or convict me. A jury of my peers. How are they selected? By random lottery. Most people don't want to do jury duty. Do you see where I'm going? What this is crazy, and this most people lose their mind here. But remember, popularity contests are shit. These same people that are running around with Che Guevara shirts and talking communism are the same people that hate the popular crew in their high school. Okay, so you got to use your fucking brain, get off the drugs a little bit for a moment, and reason these things out. Stick with them. A lottery would randomly pull people from that 1 out of 99% pool of where 99% of the people are good, instead of the 1 out of 4 pool where the sociopaths are way more common. Think. Put it in AI. Test it out. All right, guys. I hope this was useful. I would like to end it by talking a little bit about entrepreneurship. So, this is my jam. It's what I spend most of the day doing. It's what I give public talks on. It's why I come on here to help you guys. I don't know what your business is, but whatever your business is, I need you to understand your level of commitment to it and the amount of activity and work you need to do needs to increase. We like to blame politicians. We like to blame the economy. We like to blame other things outside of our control. But what you do control is the amount of effort you put into something. Statistically speaking, it is easier. Now, you can go to my blog, go to number1coaching.com, right? Like number one, and then put a slash and a blog, /blog or whatever. And you can see I have an article there where I talk about the statistics of becoming a Navy SEAL, that it's actually easier. You have a higher chance of becoming a Navy SEAL than becoming a successful entrepreneur running a company for 10 years or longer. 9 out of 10 businesses fail in 10 years. Okay. It's not even hard. Is it hard to become a Navy SEAL? It's not even up for debate. We know that's a challenging thing to do. We see these guys like David Goggins telling you suck and all this other stuff, right? Because it's tough. You got to be tough. Why does that apply over? So why do we have David Goggins speaking to entrepreneurs? Have you ever thought of that? Because it's fucking hard. Pardon my language. So you need to figure this out. Okay. And the thing is if you don't want to be a slave, like we go to the zoo, you got to figure out, do you want to be the lion in the zoo or do you want to be the lion out in the savannas of Africa? That lion it's ain't guaranteed for him, dude. He's got to go hunt. But dude, he's got old pride of chicks, lionesses. He's got cubs. He's got free domain, but he's got to work his ass off. And nothing's guaranteed. The lion in the zoo, he can't go anywhere. Got fat kids making fun of him, people taking pictures, and he just lay there all day with no sense of purpose, waiting to die. I mean, it's like prison. Bars, cage, stuck. What I'm saying is, don't be seduced by convenience just because it's there. Don't be seduced by this idea of a UBI. It's slavery. Look at what the welfare program of LBJ has done to the people that we're here to help. Hey, I'm from the government. I'm here to help. Isn't that what Reagan said was like the scariest thing ever? Because it's not going to go well. Hey, I'm from the government. Hi, Native Americans. Take these blankets. Don't be fucking stupid, man. You're the Native American now. You're the herd that they're trying to cull if you haven't figured this out. Be smart. All right, guys. Be free. Freedom and responsibility are two sides of the same coin. In fact, I use them interchangeably because I think they're the same thing. But freedom is not free, right? That's a cliche. You have to work for it every day. All right, guys. I hope this was helpful. Bilal says, I used to have a martial arts school. Money business made me close. So I'm trying to learn. Good. Yeah, dude, figure it out. And it's going to be 10 times more work than you think. That's why what Grant says 10x means. Put in 10x work. That's where you're going to win. But that's how you're going to win being the best swimmer, being the best tennis player, being the best wrestler, being the best MMA guy. That's where you're going to win being the best business guy. Do more than the other people. It's good for everybody. It's good for you. All right, guys, I got to run. Always a pleasure. I'll see you guys next time.